to the Forge for my first ever game room tour. This is the start of our third year here on YouTube, and boy are we excited to get into all these games, all the collection pieces, all the different things that you see behind you, to the sides of you. Stay tuned this year, guys, because we're going to be breaking things down, getting further into detail of our specific collection pieces that we're most proud of, going over our collection system by system, game by game. Make sure to come around, stick around and check that out, plus many other exciting things that you could expect, gameplay videos. You know we like to get into the holiday fun around here. Speaking of that, we are getting into Fear the Forge. If you guys haven't had a chance to check out some of our stuff on that, make sure to do it for some festive fun. That and much more to come this year on Brothers Forge Gaming. Okay, so for the Arcade 1-Up machine, if you guys tuned into the quick 1-minute video of the unboxing, just kind of unveiling, thanks for tuning into that. If you haven't had a chance, make sure to go back and check that out. Originally that video, I had high aspirations, high hopes for that video. It just is one of those things, you know, it got eaten by the editing grinder. It just didn't work out, unfortunately. But we did cover a little bit of the gameplay. This machine right here is very excellent. I'm not going to fire it up right now. If you guys haven't seen one, haven't had a chance to play one, they're on display at some shops that sell them. They're very cool. Nice miniature, fits in your room. This specific cab has a lot of detail. There's some new ones coming out. And I don't know if you can tell in this shot, but there is room for another one of these out there. I just need to find one that I can get. I'd like to get one that has a lot of games on it. This one has 12 or 13 games, I want to say. Something like that. Maybe like a player's choice. Maybe Nintendo will throw their hat in the ring on this one, and we'll get a Nintendo's player's choice one. That'd be so cool to go right next to this. Or, you know what? There's this really cool Star Wars one. It has the wheel. Very cool arcade. Atari Age, I dig that, so that would be a lot of fun too. That could go right next to this one. I could have two, and I'm going to tell you right now, these things are addicting. I want a bunch of these now. They're very cool to have. They don't take up a lot of space. I mean, they're bulky, right? You could have several in your game room more than likely, which is cool. So I got a spot for two right here, and also, you know, if you can, you probably can't really see right up here, but what I'd like to do is add a shelf. I have a handful of mini arcades as well that would go nicely up there. If you can see the Pac-Man light over here, or you can see it in the other shot. I also picked up an actual Pac-Man, so you know, do that up on here with the ghost. So this is a work in progress, guys. This is my first ever game room tour, so welcome, enjoy, thank you for coming, stopping by. I hope you see some stuff you like, piques your interest. If you guys have any questions, let me know. We're gonna be going over this little by little, piece by piece. So stick around. We're going to get into some different things. I'm not going to go too far into detail. There's a lot of games, and you know, how many games do you really want to see, right? So we're just going to go cover over the gist of it. But look forward to the future. We are going to be covering a lot of these games, either in reviews, collections, Masterpiece Theater collections, different ways we're going to find to show different parts of our collections. Hopefully you guys will want to come along and check that out with us. All right, on to the next part of the game room tour. As you can see here, this is where I house most of my disc games. We've got Xbox, PS2, Xbox 360, PS3. It's going to be the bulk of this collection here. Next on display, I have my Inbox collection, NES, Sega Genesis. There's some Master in there, some SNES, N64. I don't have a lot of those last few, but mostly NES and Sega Genesis. I do have Inbox. As you can see here, I have some loose carts for Sega Genesis and Master. Now, I have mixed feelings about these. I think I prefer this one over this one. The functionality of them, opening and closing them, the games fall and they get stuck back there. And it's very irritating in that sense, but they are good in a way that they, you know, keep the dust off them. It's a good place to put them all. If you don't have a lot of room, they do store a lot. So in that sense, they're great. If you see them around at the thrift store or whatnot, garage sale, you can generally find them pretty cheap. Although I do believe there are some that you know, demand a high price. So, you know, like I said, mixed feelings on those. Would I recommend them? I don't know. Yeah, sure. Why not? As you can see here, we've got some GameCube games, some Game Boys, the various systems, DS and whatnot. We got some of those in box. a lot of my Wii. Now, most of the Wii I grabbed is what would probably be considered shovelware. I was grabbing it when it was basically getting given away, but I did pick up some good games in there as well. Wii is a system I didn't really play. It was after kind of when I was not gaming as much, so I was able to pick a lot of that up on the back end, which was nice. And that is a collection I would like to go back and revisit somewhere down the road if we can ever get caught up on the numerous backlogs and different things we have going on. But something to look forward to. I do want to start maybe doing some Wii Fit stuff, make a fool of myself on live stream that way. So if you guys are interested, keep an eye out for that somewhere in the near to distant future. Okay? Okay, here is Command Central Numero Tres. I have, if you can see up here, I have this hooked up to this switch. It's basically with the touch of a button. All these are hooked up, so basically just switch around. And if you notice on the front, there is an out. So this piece right here is very handy. If you can see it, if you guys see it on your way out there, this is great because it hooks up Xbox, Nintendo 64, which also hooks up GameCube, and Super Nintendo, and then PS2 and PS1. This is very useful, especially if you have a lot of systems. So for the ones I don't have hooked to the Switch, some of the ones I play less, this is a very handy piece of equipment. There are different various ones out there. I think I actually have one that's different as well. With that one, with the short connection, you might need to run a splitter or like a connector barrels and split it that way, extend it out. But yeah, as you can see here, I have the various systems. Ideally, this cube works out pretty good, but it doesn't fit some of the systems like PS3, some of the bigger systems, Xbox 360, some of the newer systems. It's harder to fit them in here. The ones you can stand upright work okay. I'm sure there's some different ones you can get, but this has just happened to be the cube that I was able to buy. Ideally, I like this. It would be nice if it fit the other systems I mentioned, though. But yeah, as you can see, all these are hooked up. This is a flashback, so not a real Atari. Found that at a Goodwill, very, for nothing. Had to pick it up. Anyway, we got Wii, we got PlayStation 2, PlayStation 1, Sega Saturn, have PlayStation 3, Dreamcast. And if you can see down here is various Game Boys, all the different Game Boy systems that I have, DS, regular Game Boy Advance, I think that's all of them, 3DS, something like that. Anyway, that's the majority of my Game Boy stuff down there. So yeah, I got a few PSPs. I always thought it'd be cool to watch movies on PSP. But again, yeah, as you can see, this is hooked up here to this TV. So, also got the classic SNES, NES. They're pretty cool, hook up to the HDMI. So one thing that's nice about a newer TV that way is that if you do have some of those, classic systems remakes, you can not only have everything hooked up RCA to your Switch, you can also run HDMI and go that road. If you can't see, I don't know if you can see down here. Let's see if you can see down there. Anyway, I have this power strip. I'm not 100% on this, but just for pure energy conserving reasons, I have this hooked up to one of those power strips so I can turn it off. But my theory on that is if you leave the battery packs plugged in all the time with juice running, if you feel them, they're hot. So I don't know if that kills down the life of your battery. I would assume that it might, just the way old batteries and stuff work. But at any rate, you're probably losing money on power right there. So protect your systems, protect your budget, get a power strip, turn it on and off. It works great. I have everything running to it. And then, I should have brought a bigger power strip, I guess. So some things I do have to plug and unplug, but no big deal. The majority of stuff is hooked up. It works great. So yeah, that's Command Central. Well, let's call it Command Central number 3. we got 3 of them. This is the third. We'll get to number 1 and number 2. All right, so right here is the Command Central number 1, baby. We got the CRT Sony Trinitron. Very cool, has plugs in the front, got the menu buttons in case you don't have the remote, which I don't. And it does have out and in on the back, which is nice. So among us retro gamers out there, I believe the Sony Trinitron is held up there in the highest standards. If you guys see one out there, make sure to grab it up. It is a great CRT monitor. If you guys aren't aware, if you like to old school game, and you want to do speed runs and things like that, it is beneficial to have a CRT, not just for functionality reasons, but also for picture. The colors and things on one of the newer LCD whatever TVs, unless you know how to adjust those and everything, there are some different settings you can do to tweak it and make it a little bit more of an enjoyable experience. But this is the way you got to do it. You got to rock and roll on the CRT. It's the only way to fly, and that's why, as you can see centrally here, have the NES hooked up. My favorite system, and a lot of the games I play and do speedruns and stuff on are gonna be on the NES. It's just the best system for doing stuff like that. Also have the Master hooked up, and down below the Sega Genesis and Sega CD combo. Not entirely sure if you can see that in this shot. So have those hooked up. To me, SNES would be a good one to have hooked up to this as well, which is as easy as hooking it to the front here. But I do have that hooked up on the other one. 64 and up, and you go there. The 3D polygons and the graphics and different things that are happening there. I'm not 100% on the ratios and things of all that. But as you go up in the progression of the systems, to me it's a little more acceptable to be playing it on a newer television, non-CRT, non-tube television kind of thing. Although for best experience, you do probably want to play those on a CRT. But this particular setup I have only has 3 spots here, so that's what I went with. But mainly I play NES. That's my favorite system to play. So this is the front runner here. Very fun to play on this. I do enjoy it a lot. I don't know if you guys saw these initially in the... made these smaller ones for the classics. Basically just, this is a dust cover. So find these different fabrics around Joann's, Hobby Lobby, different places, wherever you can find them. And we do make these. So if you guys if you're interested in some dust covers, typically I do the regular size. It's about the size of like a shop rag or something. I use that as the pattern to cut it out. But the more I do these and whatnot, if I figure out a certain size, like the Sega CD is just so long, it needs a different one. Typically, most systems will fit the basic size I use, but I'm open to cutting to whatever size you may or may not want. If you guys are interested, if you want any of these, I don't have a lot of time to make them or anything, but if you are interested, let me know. Next time we're making up a batch, see if I can't get you one made. Last but not least, Command Central number 2. Here again, similar to number 3, have it hooked up to a switch. At the touch of a button, can do the different systems that I have hooked up. Most of these are hooked up, and then again, it has an access point from the front for any that aren't hooked up. Can plug straight in directly there. Also, the TV has some other outlets as well, but the general majority are hooked up. Again, like I talked about a little earlier, the Xbox 360, PS3, or Xbox original, PS4, they're a little harder to have hooked in just by the size. Actually, the PS4 Slim fits a little better than my original. Anyway, but that's HDMI, so that wouldn't be on this switch. But like I said, most of it's hooked up here. Any that isn't is very easy to hook right in. Set up to go. Again, I have it on a power strip, so for conservation reasons and just things like that, I have it hooked up. But it's all pretty much ready to go at the touch of a button. So again, GameCube, Nintendo 64, Super Nintendo, Xbox 360, and the PS4 is just here. Why not? It's a good place to put it. So that's what we have there. And if you add them all together, 1, 2, 3, pretty much every system I own is hooked up, ready to go at a moment's notice. Not too bad. And in this section here, I have some various different box set collections, steel books, various different things. Got some Lord of the Rings, gotta have that, right? Various manuals, Game Informers, different tips and tricks books, things like that. And then something I do enjoy doing is, these are considered obsolete for the most part, are the books, the strategy guides, because the internet, you just look everything up or whatever. I'm old school. I like to, if I need to look something up, I want to look it up hard. I have trouble searching for that stuff, and I get frustrated. So for me, something I really enjoy doing was getting the game and the manual and then pairing them together. I just used like a comic book. I think this is a Lifetime size magazine for Life magazines. Anyway, I just slipped those together. Some of them I put the cardboard back on just to kind of, I don't know, protect it or something. I got all those at my local comic book store, so if you guys are interested in doing it that way, you should be able to find it there. I'm sure you can order it online. and other times I get creative, like cut different things and put them in there. I don't know how necessary that is, but it's just something fun to do. So you get some different games like that, pair it with it. And then down the road, for a big reason we do this is for gamers in the future. So gamers in the future who maybe didn't play these games, aren't aware of how to play them, this is going to be a way for them to jump right in and have a good time playing these excellent games. And if you can see it up here, this is probably my favorite piece I have, is my NES inbox. It's not my original. Unfortunately, I lost most of my, as a kid, you throw all that stuff away. So I had probably more than I'd like to comment of just cardboard that got thrown away or destroyed over the years. It's pretty sad, but I was able to pick this up at a store, a local store that is no longer. Pick this out of the wreckage of that place, and now it will forever be in a good home. All right, well, that's going to be it for Command Central and the library, we'll call it. And we're going to get into it, guys. The piece de la resistance, the NES. Oh, yes, part of the game room. Here we go. All right, well, last but not least, my favorite part of the game room. Right here I have all of my NES. As you can see here, some SNES, there's some 64 down there. But majority you want to focus on right here is the NES. Oh yes, baby. So we got a lot of those games. Working on the inbox. Lifetime goal is to obviously get every NES game inbox, but come on. That's a lifetime goal, so that could take a while. But yeah, this is where the majority of my fun gameplay time comes from, is these NES carts. And I do really enjoy SNES games and 64, Sega, obviously. They're all great. Okay, but for me, I grew up playing NES, my favorite system, and so I just have so much fun doing that. As a collector, it's hard. There's so many things to collect, from just not only the games, but all the different cool toys and swag pieces, posters, all the different random stuff, you name it. Heck, even movies, because the movies go along with the games, especially all those games that were made into movies, or movies that were made into games. It's endless, right? So in that sea, in the ocean, the cosmic outer space galaxy of collecting, it's really hard, especially for me, to stay focused. A lot of time I wish maybe, hey, I would have just focused on completing a certain collection, NES. But that is where majority of my focus is now, is I'm lasering in on getting NES games, specifically inbox games. So that's what I'm working with now. But for me also, I'm a bargain hunter. I go where the value is. So hey, it's like the stock market. If whatever is low, you buy. You know what I mean? You buy what's cheap. And so for me, it's tough to stick to one thing, because if I see a really good deal, I'm going to buy that. And then, I think about it, I just spent $40 on 80 PS3 games or whatever, but I could have just bought that one NES game I was trying to get. But for me, I'd rather have all the games than the one. Although, from collecting standpoint, it makes it very difficult to actually complete anything or, like I said, stay focused. But you know what? That's part of the fun. I really enjoy collecting. I'd say, man, if you were to break it down, do you say half the fun is collecting, half the fun is gaming? What's your split? I'm not sure. I don't know. I have a lot of fun going out hunting, pecking, looking through yard sales, flea markets, retro stores, whatever, you name it, estate sales. Anywhere you can find these games, I do have a fun time going out and doing that. We have a blast doing that, traveling, doing some different things like that. So is that 90% of the fun? I don't know. It's definitely not fun bringing everything home and cleaning it. That's probably the least fun, right? But the end result works out. It's great. So it's been a fun time for us here on YouTube. We've been having a great time playing games, bringing different stuff to you guys, reviews, different fun things we do. But like I said, we're going to really be focusing in on the collection aspect of it now. So we're going to bring to you different portions of our collection. I'm not going to sit here and go over every single one of these games. We'd be here all day. But down the road, certain specific things, like later down the road, I want to show you the Working Designs collection I have. Stuff like that. Different pieces from my collection that you'll want to see. So make sure to stick around, check out for that. Up and coming. That is what I'm going to be focusing on mostly this year, is that and some of the other various things that you've seen in the past. Actually, that brings me to my next point. Somewhere in this game room, there are several spots in which the next Masterpiece Theater Collection segment is going to come from. If you guess which segment I'm going to do first based on the various things you may have seen, I did place them together in areas of the game room. Hopefully I picked those up in the shots. But yeah, if you can guess which one I'm going to do next, hey, you can win a prize. I've got some various things, so let me know if you're interested. Put your guess, email them to us because, email them to us because, you probably don't want to make your guess public because what if it's the right guess and then everybody wins, right? So there can be only one winner, okay? So yeah, if you're interested, like I said, put that down in the comments that you're interested and then email us your answer or just email us, brothersforgegaming@gmail.com. However you want to do it. Works for me. Whatever's best for you. Just like I said, mainly let us know you're interested, and if you get the right answer, there you go. Okay? And I almost forgot. Ideally, this isn't how I wanted to display this. Originally, I had these over on the bookshelf over there. I did want to create some more space because I had an overflow. Anyway, I found this CD rack. Actually, CD racks are pretty tough to find, especially ones that are functional that you want to use for the price you want to pay. I guess I got old faster than I realized because nobody uses those anymore. But anyway, this one's pretty cool. It's like metal. So anyway, but right here I have all of my PS1 games, and I have Sega CD, Sega Dreamcast, various disc-only games from other systems are in here as well. I do have rather a lot of disc-only games. So grab them when I can, and then just put them in, whatever case I can find. Ultimately, I like to have them in cases, in the jewel cases, because those paper sleeves, I mean, they're all right, but obviously you're gonna get better protection in those sleeves. So yeah, if you can see, let me get out of the way here. Various PS1 games. PS1 is probably my favorite system for the polygon style graphics. I mean, obviously got Sega Saturn is really good. 3DO, which I have some games, but I don't have a system. I actually tried to get it at PRGE last year. Just couldn't find the right one. And unfortunately, I'm not going to make it there this year. So maybe next year for that 3DO. But anyway, like I said, PS1 is just such a great system. There's so many good games. Saturn is obviously excellent too, but the games are so much more expensive to try to collect for that system and some of those other more obscure systems that were in that era. That's the game room tour, my first ever game room tour. I had so much fun, had a blast. Hopefully you guys saw something you liked, something you enjoy. And if you see anything that you want to see in further detail, do let us know in the comments down below. And if you have a game room tour or you want to do one, also put that down in the comments below. We'd love to check it out. Thanks for stopping by, guys. We'll see you next time.